Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be reviewing the Magicshine EVO 1700 bike front headlight. The new Magicshine EVO 1700 combines a powerful 1700 lumen output with an aspherical anti-glare lens design. It's part of an exciting new trend in the bike light market with a move toward high-power bike lights with beam cutoffs. Although this isn't a StVZO certified light, it gives you the same benefits. You won't blind oncoming bikes or traffic while you're using the higher output modes. We don't actually have the full packaging with this light as we got an early look at it, but we'll go over the specs and show you what's included. Retail price on this is only $89.99, so very affordable given the 1700 lumen output. You have a 4000 milliamp internal battery with USB Type-C charging. You have that beam cutoff with that aspherical lens, so you can actually see the LED on the inside. And then you also have a wireless remote, lets you control the light from any place on your handlebar. This also has a GoPro top mount, which is really unique, so you can mount this underneath your out front mount. And you can also customize this using the Magicshine app. As far as what's included with the light, you can see we have the light. Magicshine also includes that out front mount, so you can use the included plastic one or use your existing one, and you can see it has a simple GoPro attachment, so it keeps it right out of the way. With this mount, you get all the accessories, so you can see we have some different spacers for the actual mount, a little Allen key, which is used for the mount, and then the bolt on the GoPro, USB Type-C charging cable. We have the wireless remote, which is really similar to their Montier designs with a 2-button setup and a little rubber pad behind it. You attach this to the bike using the simple Velcro strap as well. Now let's go over the weight of the light. So the light by itself comes in at 151 grams. Then if you want to use the out front mount with the GoPro bolt already attached to it, it's a simple plastic setup that only comes in at 49 grams. Visually, the EVO 1700 has an unusual square shape that's reminiscent of retro CRT TVs, especially when you flip it upside down. So you can see it really looks like an old television with that big lens on front. And that's one reason why it's such a big light. You have that aspherical lens that simply takes up a lot more space than Magishine's traditional total internal reflection style lenses. Instead of the normal black body, you have a nice white and gray color scheme. So you can see the main body is this plastic white, and on the back you have this curved gray piece, and that helps kind of conceal some of the size of this, and then gray accents on the front and side. You have these nice graphics as well with EVO 1700 printed, and then Magicshine on the other side. You can see there's these two little square pieces on the sides. The one on the left is the user interface, so it's a little rubber button. The other one is the USB Type-C charging port, so it's a rubber cover. You pull it out, then you can access the port, and then you can push it back, and nice and flush, so you can see no water will get in there. On the rear again, you can see a very unusual curved piece, and this conceals a 4000 milliamp lithium ion battery on the inside. So a pretty big battery given the size of the light. You can see there's also a chrome ring around the lens, which gives it a little bit unusual shape. Obviously what's so unique about this light is the fact that you do get that aspherical lens. So you can see from the side, it almost looks like a curved lens, and they have a specific curvature on the inside. So if you look straight in, you can actually see the LED, and if I turn this up and down, you can see how it'll distort. So it really focuses the light downward, and when you turn on the light, you get a very unique beam shape. So rather than a cone, you get that nice beam cutoff. So when you have this mounted on the bike, you can see a nice sharp cutoff that won't blind anybody coming up in front of you, and ensures all the lights on the ground rather than being a cone shape and going everywhere. You also have that interesting chrome ring around it. There is no side cutouts with this though. So you can see when I have it on, I really can't see any of the illumination. It's all forward only. So it would have been nice if there's some sort of raised edge or cutout. The mounting on this is also really cool. This light is specifically designed to be mounted underneath an out front mount, and they even include that out front mount. So you can see simple plastic design. You have the little cutouts here with this plastic structure, so very stiff and rigid, and dual-sided, so you can put your computer on top, and then you slide this underneath by just taking off that bolt and then sliding the GoPro adapter through it. So a pretty slick setup, and it really conceals the light, so all you see from the top would be your computer, and the light's completely hidden underneath it. What's also cool about this is you have a removable GoPro adapter. So if you push down on the button, you can slide this out. So you can really install the light or remove it very easily by just leaving this piece on the bike and then pushing down on the button and then locking in place. So really nice mechanism. You don't have to go get your tool, undo the thumb screw or the bolt. So it's a nice little feature, and if you're a commuter, you can easily put this on your bike or take it off. You also have a wireless remote here, and this uses a simple Velcro design, and it uses their standard Montier design with 2 buttons. So if we start with the user interface on the device first, if I do a hold, it turns it on. Single press goes through the low, medium, high. A double press toggles between high and low beam. So you can see this is low beam, and then when I go high beam, I get that extra visibility. Long press turns it off. There's also a lockout mode, so if I do a long hold for 3 seconds, you can see now it's locked. And you also have a color indicator here, so this will be either green or red. Another 3-second hold can unlock this, so it gives you a battery status, but it's pretty minimal. The other interesting thing here is the wireless remote, 2-button design. A hold will turn it on. And you can see with the circle button, I can cycle through low, medium, high. Double tap to go through the high and low beam. And then I can instantly access the full power mode by pressing the square button. You can also access flash mode by double tapping. So you have a night flash and a day flash, so pretty cool. And if I double tap again, I can see day flash. It's a feature you're probably not going to remember, but it's nice that it's there and it's only accessible through the wireless remote. Now let's take a look at the output modes of the light. There's 6 different constant modes in the factory default settings. You have low, medium, high, and a low beam and a high beam configuration. In the low beam configuration, you go up to 800 lumens with 3-hour runtime. You can see a nice sharp beam cutoff, the really wide beam. In the high beam, it extends the beam upward just like a car, so you can see further down the road. And this gives you the full 1700 lumens in the high mode with 2-hour runtime. It's a pretty nice setup, and you can see when you're riding, you have almost 2 lanes wide of a beam, and you can see really far down. You also notice you have that sharp beam cutoff, so if you look at the side reflections, you're not blinding people. Instead, all the light is really focused on the ground. So it's really nice to ride with a beam cutoff style light. And with 1700 lumens here, it's more than bright enough. Generally, the medium, high, and just the low beam setting is more than enough for riding. But if you really need illumination, you can jump to the high beam. You also have that wireless remote, which is great. Single button press to go to the full output. We're not showing the flash mode here, as they have fairly low runtime because they use a full 1700 lumens, but you can access that using the app or double pressing on the wireless remote. So it is there, but generally found the constant modes to be more than good enough, and the default settings are really nice, so you don't really have to mess with things. And it's easy to switch between modes and a very slick setup. Now let's take a look at the Magicshine app. With this app, you can actually connect to the light and then customize all the output modes. Unfortunately, app design is very confusing, so you can see there's 4 tabs with My Devices, Scene, Version Upgrade, and Contact Us. And it's clear the UI is just a little bit undone, so some of the capitalization doesn't match, and a lot of the messages are a bit confusing. Once you actually connect the device, you can see click Device Settings, and then you'll see this view. It says Scene 1, which is actually what I would call a profile. It says CBL 1600, which must have been one of the old names for the EVO 1700. Shows you a temperature and then the battery status as high. So not very obvious, and it says level 0, use time 1. In here, you can actually customize the modes. So if you don't see anything, it defaults to the factory 6 settings. If I click Add, you actually have this nice little wheel where you can adjust the output from 0 all the way to 100%. You can switch between low and high beam. So you can actually see that when I switch that. I'll actually adjust the light in real time. So it's kind of cool. And within here, you can access some other modes like the SOS mode, flash mode, and then the fast flash. And you can see the app itself is a little bit clumsy. Sometimes it just closes the area, even though you're still working with it. So you can add the modes in both the low and high. And what's cool about this is whatever you put in the high will be in that double press setting. So they're actually separate, just like the factory ones, and you can add flash modes with this. So kind of cool, but because you only have really one LED here, I don't think this is all that useful. So you can see I can add more, add additional modes, and again, here's a low-high setting, and they'll fall into the different menus. If you don't like something, you can click delete, and then you see it goes away. If you delete everything, it goes back to the default 6 settings. You can also go to scene and then add scene. So this is like adding a profile. So I can say mountain bike. Now I have this scene. I can go back to device settings, and there's a way to actually switch between the scenes. So that's what's so confusing about this. The other one's enabled. And if I wanted to switch between scenes, you should be able to switch between them, but it's just not very obvious how. So you can see there, if I click on scene 1, I can go to the mountain scene, which is now enabled, and I can do custom modes. So in theory, it's a really cool design, but with the single LED and the confusing UI, I don't really recommend using this unless you really want to customize something. Now let's do a little comparison between the EVO lights and other lights on the market. Here we have both the EVO 1300 and the 1700 side by side. So you can see very different form factors. EVO 1700 is a lot shorter, but taller, while the EVO 1300 has a more traditional, longer design. You can see they went with the GoPro on the 1700, while this one they went with the Garmin as it's wider. With this one you use the Garmin to GoPro attachment so you get the same adjustment, but you can see just different design and lower output. They both have very similar features though. You have the same low, medium, high, same wireless remotes, and you also have the flash modes available through the remote or using the app. Magicshine also has other lights. They have the ZX Pro, which actually is StVZO certified. So you can see very similar size, but a lot lower power. It's only, I believe, around 220 lumens, while this one's a full 1300 and it's not StVZO certified. This one obviously is designed to be mounted on top as the Garmin mounts on the bottom, while this one is specifically designed to be mounted on the top. So you put this underneath your out front mount. It's a little bit different market, and this one's a lot more affordable, obviously, compared to the EVO 1300. You can also see a comparison between Magishine's standard lights. Here we have the RN 1500, so comparing the 1300 output to the 1500, you can see just how much extra space that lens takes. So you get an extra 200 with this, and it's a lot slimmer design. You also have the cool anodized finish, which is really nice, compared to the all black designs. Magicshine also has the Allty 1500S, which has a OLED screen, which is really nice, so you can actually see the battery status. And you have a DRL, but very simple lens. So if you compare either of the EVO lights, you'll see that the lens design is very different. So with this one, you can see it's very wide cone beam, and this one you have a nice beam cutoff, and then same thing with the EVO. So you definitely have less glare for oncoming traffic, and it's nice to have, especially at the higher output. There are also other options with the non-beam cutoff. You have the KNOG Blinder 900. So again, very simple light, and you can see it has a thin form factor. It's actually designed to be mounted on top or bottom. So there's actually no Garmin mount. Instead it has a clamping design. So you can flip this on top, on the bottom, so which is pretty clever, but you can see more of a generic mountain bike style lens. We've also reviewed a couple other beam cutoff lights. Here we have the Topeak white light. So you can see it uses a reflector style versus this aspherical lens. So both of them place the LEDs in different locations. This one just bounces it downward. So you don't get quite as nice of a beam, but you do get a beam cutoff, which is nice, so you won't blind oncoming traffic. And this one will actually control a rear light too. One of the cooler beam cutoff lights we have is the NACA. So this is the NACA Road from Lightskin. So you can see same aspherical lens. So you get a nice beam cutoff, but you can see this is actually more aerodynamic. So putting the EVO 1700 and the side by side, you can see this has a very smooth shape. Well, it's just a big kind of bulky box design, but it doesn't have nearly as much output, and this is StVZO certified. Now let's go over the pros and cons for the Magicshine EVO 1700. What we like about it is that you have a sharp beam cutoff. It's really nice to see a sharp beam cutoff, especially at this price point and this much power, so you don't create glare for oncoming traffic. It's also designed for the bottom slot of out front mounts, so it's really nice. You have that top mounted GoPro, so it's very easy to install on any out front mount. You also have a large battery, which gives you nice long run times, so you don't have to be constantly charging the light. The main negatives for this light is the fact that it does lack side visibility. There's no side cutout or raised edge on the lens. And also the Magicshine app has a very confusing interface, so I don't really recommend using it as it's not that useful with this light in particular. Taking everything into account would give the EVO 1700 a 9.3 out of 10. It's a nice powerful light with a sharp beam cutoff. Thanks for watching this review, and don't forget to like and subscribe. You can see more content from us on our website at thesweetcyclist.com, as well as follow us on Instagram at thesweetcyclist. This is The Sweet Cyclist reminding you to enjoy the ride.